Next up is application 209-755, 26 Wentworth.
This is in Garrett Hill.
Land development. The application indicates proposed 2 residential buildings on 2 lots.
This is where Radnor was going to put a parking lot a while back.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Timothy Davis, representing the applicant from Shock Group LLC for 26 Wentworth Lane, 2-lot minor subdivision in the Garrett Hill section of the township. The applicant is currently applying for a preliminary. There was some confusion on one of the review letters that it was preliminary final. And so our Gilmore and Associates review letter was reviewed as a preliminary. The Gannett Fleming was reviewed as preliminary final. So I did bring the original application just to clarify that it is only a preliminary application that we are here for today.
Yeah, for those of you playing along at home, the review letters were extensive and probably inappropriate for where you are in the stage of this process.
Yes, we have not designed the stormwater system, just to be clear.
Sounds good.
Okay, to introduce the project, the existing 15,000 square foot lot at 26 Wentworth Lane is proposed to be subdivided into 2 approximately equally sized 7,500 square foot lots. On each lot, we are proposing 2,000 to 2,250 square feet of impervious on the lots, with a single family detached dwelling with 2 units.
In an area that floods. Interesting.
The existing conditions on the lot basically are just a blank lot. It was demolished a few years ago, and currently there is only a small bit of stone that is left on the lot. There's no existing structure or primary use of the lot as it.
No foundations? Were the foundations dug out?
This in the plan? For the area, there is fire service at the end of the block for that, and we will provide a fire hydrant plan. I know that was in part of the final comments that were on.
Look at all that existing density.
We will provide that as part of our final plan development. So the existing concrete pad that is there and driveway is proposed to be removed, as well as 2 of the trees that are on the lot.
Let's remove trees. Okay.
Trees for those 2 trees. Those have not been designed as of yet. A landscape architect will be consulted for that.
Oh, we grow trees.
And we will be appearing in front of the shade.
We don't design them.
Upon final plan submission. The proposed development is a single detached house with 2 units.
So that's a twin.
Unit on lot 2 is slightly bigger than on lot 1, with a common stormwater system in the back. The current conditions on the site have slight surface ponding. We are proposing to mitigate that with some better soils. Again, these are go to some of the final plan comments that are on there. There were very good soils about 4 feet below the surface, with between 12 and 4 inches per hour in run rates, which is very good for this part of the township. So the stormwater is, we are confident that we'll be able to meet the stormwater requirements as part of the final plan for in there, as well as all the erosion control requirements that the township requires. The applicant is requesting 2 waivers currently, and then there is 1 additional comment that was brought up that I want to discuss with the township. The first waiver is a waiver from the section 255.27C1 to maintain the existing right-of-way width of 33 feet instead of the required 60 feet for local streets. The existing street on Wentworth Lane is an offset street where the street is not symmetrical as it goes down the street, and we are on the encumbered side of that street lot.
Isn't it also kind of 2 streets there?
There are additional houses shown on our side. They use the front yards as parking. There is no sidewalk on our side, and that is for the second waiver to maintain the cartway width as well of 22.25 feet instead of the required 28 feet, maintaining the current width of Wentworth Lane as it goes down.
Mr.
excuse me, not to interrupt, but, so Wentworth Lane / Summit Terrace is wider just past your project,
Yes, correct.
and you're gonna meet that
Correct.
existing width?
Yes.
Because it doesn't look
Oh,
like
he's
that's
at
what's
work.
reflected on the plan. It looks like it's about a foot in following existing Wentworth / Summit Terrace, and then it gets wider
Wow.
right when you get past it at the house that starts Wentworth Lane. And we're requesting that road width where Wentworth Lane starts out to the end of this property continue with that width.
I believe the applicant is agreeable to that.
Thank you.
Confirmed, the applicant is agreeable to that.
Okay, very
We
good.
will include that with the final plans.
Seems to be a
How
lot
are we
of
phrasing that, Mr. Norsini? Will
Cart
maintain
before horse.
roadway width to what?
We'll match roadway width of Wentworth Lane just south of the project. Are we south?
Along the entire.
Does he actually know what he's doing?
Thank you.
Just asking.
And just to clarify, that's a 24-foot cartway width at that point.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks.
thank you, David.
And while I've already interrupted and you were talking about ponding, so where the existing parking lot of the nursery is, I'm not sure what that's called,
Nursery?
right at that interface where the parking lot of the nursery meets this lot, there's ponding. I think there's like logs there now. I'm not seeing contour lines that would show how you address that.
In that
So
area-
right about where the tree, so the tree that's remaining on the front of the site, right in that area, there's ponding. Water comes off that parking lot and ponds there, but we're not seeing contour lines as to how that could be addressed. Other than I know you're saying the ground perks really well there.
So not right there. There is better perk in the backyard. We are proposing to take the surface water in that area into an inlet in the front yard, and we can confirm with spot grading that the water is to flow to that inlet. And then we are piping that to the backyard where we have the better soils.
And we would see that on the final plan submission.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, very good.
While we're on that subject though, Steve, when Rockwell was before us on the same property.
So this isn't Rockwell?
There was a lot of resident concern about water going out of the back of the property and affecting neighbors on the street behind Wentworth. So my question would be, are you guys going to contain the stormwater on the property?
Yes, through the stormwater testing, we are confident we are able to comply with all township infiltration and rate control requirements.
Okay.
Sure.
Any other commissioner comments? I just want to recognize Commissioner Farhi. Go ahead.
Thanks. I'm here for another matter, but I do have a question. Garrett Hill is the ward in which I'm a commissioner, and I actually live in Garrett Hill. Just one question, and you're saying, and then I'm going to ask, I guess, Peter and Steve to kind of follow up. So you're saying that there's going to be a shared system. Is it going to be on both the properties or just one of the properties?
We are still working that out with the developer of whether there's an HOA.
Who's the
I guess
developer?
my question is, and I guess legal or engineering is going to, if they're not now, 5, 10 years, 15 years down the road, there's a failure and it is, I mean, there's not a homeowner's, they're just two houses. There's not a homeowner's, there's nothing. If there's a failure, how does that work of who is going to fix it? One resident may have enough money, one may not have enough money.
Good
and
point.
Does it fall back on the township? Is there a lien? I don't know, Peter or Steve, it's more legal than anything. If you
I was gonna raise this for two reasons. One, your worst case scenarios, I'm not sure our zoning allows this setup. We do allow a duplex with 0 side yard, but that's a building that's specifically divided right along the property line. You're proposing a facility, a structure that's not divided on the property line. It crosses over the property line.
It's
I think
messy.
worst case scenario, and I'm not saying definitely this is the case, but I think worst case scenario, if you want to do this, you need a variance. At the very minimum, as Commissioner Farhi brought up, you're going to need to denote an easement area. We're going to need to have an easement over that. We're going to need to have an operation and maintenance agreement between the two property owners with enforcement powers to the township to ensure that if you get a variance, even if you get a variance, or if it's decided you don't need one, that we can be sure that it's going to be properly maintained, and if it's not, the township has the ability to step in and go after both property owners if that's the case. But yeah, in looking through that plan, I am concerned that it's not allowed under zoning.
Okay.
But
We
definitely,
can-
we're going to have an easement area denoted, and my office will prepare. It's going to be a condition of approval that you agree to an O&M agreement covering that whole system, make sure it does work and both property owners are on the hook for it.
We can separate those. The reason that the design choice was made was to save some of the trees in the page left corner.
Then maybe you should make smaller buildings.
We can move the system over there and provide replacement trees for those impacted trees to separate the system. So we can do that.
But what caliber?
Okay.
It would just require some tree removal, but the applicant is willing to replace those trees.
Yeah, they always say that.
Good.
Is-
Even if you do separate the system, we probably would still want to see an easement over, and obviously still have an O&M agreement on each of the two systems.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Is this an issue that we need to decide now?
No, not at all.
Okay, very good, thank you. Any other commissioner comment?
I have could you bring the aerial map back?
So is this a property that is subject to litigation right now?
I see that the proposed building, and if you could point to it, just for the sake of everyone here, right there. Is there any way that the footprint of that new proposed structure can be designed in such a way that it maintains a street wall along Wentworth? Because I see that the houses all follow a certain street wall. Some have porches and some don't. But, this proposed building really juts out quite a bit.
I'll leave that to the developer. I believe the intent was to maximize the backyard for the future residents of there. The current houses.
No, it's not. It's all
are
about your
on the smaller
profit.
side.
You don't care about
They do
backyards.
maintain the backyard. However, the front yard and included parking, where the current houses utilize a front parking area for off-street parking, we are including that parking within the building itself and providing those parking spaces interior. That would be eliminated if we moved it back.
Setbacks are setbacks,
So-
dude, and so is human
So in
scale.
summary, are there any other commissioner comments?
Yes. So on the lot, you will see a light dashed line interior, marked as garage. In the garage bay, there is a full-size car that will be interior to the building, as well as a half width, or a half length, I should say, overhang that will cover half of the car that will be outside of the closed car garage, so that both cars will be approximately in line with the building itself. Currently, the neighboring houses utilize front parking pads that take the place of the sidewalk area. This proposes to move both parking spaces into the principal building setback out of that front yard area.
And you're asking for a waiver on sidewalk, right? I think I
Correct.
heard that.
Yes.
Okay, got it. There is a sidewalk, for the record, across the street, so.
So what happens if the occupants use the garage as storage or another type of use? Then where do you are those cars to the street?
So the first car would be within the principal setback. The second car would, as currently shown, would be stacked in front of it. Still, I would say about 10 to 15 feet off of
This
the
is a
road
hinky
line.
dinky, rinky dinky plan.
So the car isn't gonna be in the front yards, neither car would, the car won't be in the front yard setback.
Correct.
So one in the garage, one not in the garage, but it still won't be in the front yard setback.
Yeah, but you
Correct.
can't make people park in their garage, can you?
Steve, as I remember, the Wayne Walk project on Maplewood, we restricted the use of the garages to cars only on that project.
Correct, the solicitor had deed restricted that garage so that it couldn't be converted to dwelling space of any type.
Is that something we should do on this project?
Yes.
And this solicitor says yes also.
Got it.
That's agreeable to the applicant.
Anybody else?
The driveway doesn't work? Are these,
Yes, so that is
you're gonna
the.
separate that?
So, yes, we are going to propose a separation between the McGrath strip with the final plan. The one item I did want to bring to the board for discussion was section 150, the section that says the driveways must be 5 feet off of any side yard setback. For attached dwellings that do allow adjoined garages, even if we separated the actual driveways in the front yard, there would still be a portion that would be within that 5 yard setback. We would apply for a waiver as part of the final plan from that section to allow the driveways, while separated, to be within 5 feet of the side yard.
So they'd be 10 feet away from each other?
They would not. They would likely be 4 feet away from each other. We would ask for a waiver from the 10 feet separation down to 4 feet.
Okay, you're not asking for that today.
We are not asking for that today.
Okay, gotcha. I would urge you to review the prior plans and how this board reacted to them before you get too far along in the process. With respect to the deed restriction on the garages, I don't think we're there yet either. So, anybody else? How about we hear from?
I just think there's too many things missing from the plan to make, to apply for preliminary.
Correct.
I wouldn't think so.
Well, they're not asking for a preliminary final, and we'll see them again.
But they're asking for a preliminary.
Yeah, this is more like a sketch to Commissioner Kunda's point. So
it's not a preliminary.
we're allowing them some latitude to proceed with dimensional drawings and to go further along in the development process. But there are, to your point, Commissioner Varenhorst, there are a lot of things missing, for sure.
But I guess I don't understand. So what is the application for today? A sketch plan, or is that?
Peter?
Can you say, I have trouble understanding your question.
What's the application? Is it for preliminary? Is it for a sketch plan review?
I believe the application is a preliminary plan application.
I wouldn't think it's ready.
I agree with Steve.
I agree
This
with
isn't
Steve.
clean enough for even preliminary.
Can't just shove it
Would
through.
the applicant prefer that we tabled it or that we denied it?
Prefer table.
Okay.
Before you vote, I have one more issue I want to bring up. You have an existing lawsuit against you, or your client does, from Rockwell. I think we need to have some comfort level as to what's happening with that lawsuit, since it pertains specifically to this property and who owns it. And this is something, moving forward, eventually, we're gonna need to say, hey, you need to prove clear title to this property. And if there's a lawsuit out there and there's a lis pendens on the property, that's gonna be a problem. So you guys, you're gonna need to address that sooner rather than later.
Understood.
And I'm not saying Rockwell's right or you're right, or it's just, it's something you're gonna need to deal with before we're gonna be able to move this plan along.
This is the first time hearing of it, so.
Okay.
Okay, how can you bring a plan forward and you don't know there's any litigation pending?
Yes.
Okay.
Bam, reject.
It sounds like we're gonna make a motion to table.
You should just deny it.
And we'll see you again.